on at camp after she came to camp.
Yeah, so Annie wanted to share a few words too about Daffy. So first we'll kind of just talk about Daffy. Then we'll talk a little more about what's the fundraising and the troop Mitre. So.
Good morning. Thanks for coming out. I'm Sandy Culpepper, and I will cry. Sorry, but you think after almost a year and a half I could do this, but she lives on. You're at camp, and this is the lifeblood for many of us. And I heard last night at Final Campfire, many people refer to this at home. And that was very true for me. Daffy Tabor was the camp director here, not for that many summers actually, but she gave her heart and blood and firmly believed in this camp. She had a vision. She was a visionary by far. And she lived a life of service. She worked for Girl Scouts all but 2 years of her life. 1 year she was a school teacher, and 1 year she worked for a large daycare facility, and she was like, back to Scouts. So she worked, you stay right here. So she worked locally. She was in the Odessa office, the Mama Hen office here at camp, and the little dog will wander amongst you. She had a vision that all girls and women needed a place to be girls and women, and that you could be yourselves, do what you wanted to do, find yourselves, and I find that's very true with many of you from last night's campfire. I saw you do things up on that stage that you would probably never do at home at your schools. So I love that you feel that comfortable at camp. I love that the counselors have made this such a safe environment that you know you can truly be yourself at Camp Minor Peak. That's the vision Daffy had. Daffy wants this camp, you stop that. Daffy wants this camp to live on, and she has charged each and every one of us. If you have experienced the Camp Mitre magic, then you have a duty, you have a calling to keep the magic alive and keep it going for generation and generation. On her, truly her deathbed, she was in the hospice house in Odessa, and several Girl Scouts were in there, and they were singing some songs, and I'll be danged, she was directing them with her eyebrows. And she even fussed at Barbara Clark because they had one of the words wrong. So here she was within 12 hours before she said goodbye to us all, still singing and directing Girl Scout songs. And this picture of Daffy is how we always saw her. She was always directing songs. I mean, this big, but this was Daffy, always directing songs. So thank you for coming. Thank you for, even if you don't know who this crazy little lady was, that you are still here to honor her and know that her whole life was about camp, and then a little bit of camp, and about empowering women. You are our future leaders. You are the ones that are going to lead us out of the mess that the government's got us in. You're also the ones that are going to save our environment, because I know you all have sung the song, people in cities don't understand falling in love with the land, and that was Daffy's favorite line from that song. So it's your job. I charge each of you to carry on, love camp, whether you go away and go far, come back to reunion, when you grow up and go away from this area, fly, drive, ride, get here for reunion if nothing else, so that you can rekindle that spirit and that thing. Amy will probably cry too. Daffy's all about kids. She put up with those older ones just because we were kids when we met her and we loved her dearly and would follow her around waiting for any words of wisdom and any good jokes and any good times. But she always had kids in her life up until her last days. And this was one of the kids that got to spend the last 2 years with her, or more, at least the last 2 years, where Sonia would bring Annie over, and you could just see that little lady light up. And she'd sit up, and it'd be like, story time. And whether Annie wanted to hear the stories or not, Daffy had 100 stories. And you were patient and wonderful to listen. But we all know who also had some stories to share and who could definitely fill the room, too, with some nice chatter and some great jokes and some fun times. So she was a good lifeline for Daffy those last couple of years, and I thank her for that. So from a kid perspective, Daffy's Tabor.
Daffy was one of the best people I ever met, and it is sad to see her gone. But I do miss her alive. She was always a good person. she would hike up to Frankenstein, and she would have some strings on those coffee barrels, and she would make it look like Frankenstein had eyes, just to scare the teenagers. And I'm really glad that she can have this time to be dedicated to her. And she spent a lot of her time, most of her time, helping out Girl Scouts or doing things to help girls go to Girl Scout camp, or she spent a lot of her time doing things for Baylor, which she's and which I hope to be going to.
There's a scholarship in her name you need to apply to if you're a female in this area going to Baylor.
And he was very excited. But as many people have told me, you need to smile because it happened and not cry because it's over. But whenever you love a person that much, it's hard not to. She was always a good storyteller. I mean, she could just say hi and fill the world with smiles just because she was that awesome. And there are some times that I wish, like whenever the power went out this week, that would have been the awesomest thing to tell her. And what helped me get through a lot of it. And what was staying there with me. And she would help me. And she was a shoulder to cry on when I needed her. And she was wonderful. And I wish she was here right now.
Guess what?
She is.
She's everywhere. Put her everywhere.
And she told me that, look around. There's no way that God isn't here. And that you can feel it. Once you get into camp, you just automatically, all the stress goes away from you. And if God's always looking down on you, then so is Daffy. Because Daffy was one of the best people I ever knew. Thank you.
My name is Sarah Pete, and I basically came to Mitre Peak the decade of the 60s, so I go way back. And Daffy was the camp director when I first started coming to camp. And what I'm going to read to you, I didn't write. I'm not this eloquent. Dee Davis, whom some of you may know, one of my contemporaries wrote this, and this was presented at our little memorial for Daffy right after she died, and it's still timely and still worth listening to. So, get out your tissue. A dynamo full of curiosity and wonder with an imagination that reached up to the heavens and down to the center of the earth. She wasn't content to explore alone. Instead, she chose to lead not just a troop, but an army of girls along with her, and that she did. My many memories of Daffy are among the most prized possessions. I can see her in her greenings, those are the old Girl Scout camp uniforms, welcoming us to camp when we climbed off that Midland Odessa bus and loaded up the donkey carts with our camping gear. The sound of reveille echoing through Fern Canyon is truthfully the only alarm clock to which I have ever in my life gladly awakened. And if you know Dee Dee, you know that's true. It meant Daffy was up and another glorious day of fun and learning was about to begin. And did we ever learn? We learned about the rocks and polished them into precious girl-crafted jewelry, bolo ties, and necklaces and such, while Daffy shared her knowledge of geology. We hiked to Second Pool and to swim in its cool green waters. This was before the swimming pool. Daffy made it her business to keep up with our progress in perfecting the side stroke or the crawl. On our return from Second Pool, we learned to identify willows and how to choose the perfect branch that we could later wilt and carve into a friendship stick. Daffy could do it, so we were determined to learn. At Daffy's direction, we formed circles and sang and sang and sang. We sang sad songs, goofy songs, spiritual songs, songs in other languages, songs of Girl Scouting and hiking and camping and exploring the world. We sang of peace, of friendship, and of joy. There was no girl so musically challenged that Daffy could not teach her to sing harmony worthy of entertaining the angels. Our days began and ended with elaborately crafted flag ceremonies. We saluted and sang and put our hands over our hearts and were proud to say we were Americans. No girl growing up under Daffy's tutelage would ever become a teenager working in a music store who would ask a customer, "Patriotic music, what's that?" We built fires and cooked s'mores and relieved the sweltering heat of summer afternoons with mud fights and hysterical laughter. We climbed rocky trails and dined on peanut butter sandwiches and oranges baked in a paper sack by the blazing sun. We lay on our backs under the night sky and peered at the stars in the heavens while Daffy's magical musical voice wove stars into constellations and constellations into stories. Draco, Orion, and Cassandra's sisters were our friends in the night sky. We loved them because Daffy had introduced us. When night fell, we lay on our cots and listened to the sound of taps through our tent flaps, signaling time once again for rest and rejuvenation. Day is done, God is not. During those summers 50 years past, we grew brown, strong, and confident. We were given a precious gift that would sustain us through life's ups and downs, wherever our trails might lead us. Daffy told us that we could become anything we could dream. We believed it because she said it and she believed it. We knew she could not be wrong about something so important in all our lives. Daffy's belief in us was like a life raft in a river's dangerous currents, because at that time, even our parents, who loved us with every fiber of their being, did not believe we could dream and become anything. The choices for girls becoming young women were limited. There were many things women simply could not do. Thank you, Daffy, for pulling yourself up to your full height of 4 foot 10 inches, throwing back your head and bellowing until the refrain echoed off the canyon walls. Yes, you can. We'll miss your wisdom, your love, and your guidance on this earth forever and ever. But we know that you will be up in heaven holding us in your hands. You'll remember every one of our names and a pocket full of stories about our long ago escapades at Camp Mitre Peak. That knowledge will comfort us until we join you.
Thank you. Next, Miss Marnell Fox, who works for the council. I'm not sure of your actual title. Fund development.
Which means money.
Money.
But I would like to start this not plan. 3 little stories that I know about Daffy, and it was my pleasure to do a lot of research a few years ago in preparation for a surprise birthday celebration that we had for Daffy, and because I have worked in the archives also of the console, I was really familiar with a lot of things, but the one story, and I thought of it this week when it rained, when Daffy was a counselor here, it was her job to go to town and get the mail every day. And when she was in town one day, it rained torrentially, and a flash flood came down through. Well, Daffy just drove the van right into the dip and flooded the whole thing clear up to its roof, and all the mail was ruined. So it was her task for the next 2 days to tediously dry out all that mail so the girls had their letters from home. The next story was told to me by her sister, Von Dean Lawson in Andrews. And Von Dean taught 4th grade in Andrews for years. And so the first day of school, she asked them all to say what they had done for the summer and what was exciting about it. And one little girl said, I went to Camp Mitre Peak. And the most exciting thing was I learned about And she haunts Camp Mitre people. I thought you got a big kick out of that. She said, well, let me tell you about that little old lady. She doesn't haunt anybody, and she lives right here in Andrews. She's my sister. And this girl was like, really? The other thing is, my granddaughter, Morgan, her first year here at camp, of course, like everybody else, learned all about Daffy. And so the following spring, we were at an event in Midland, and Morgan, when she found out Daffy was going to be there, she was like, really? I just want my picture taken with Daffy. That's all I want. I just want my picture taken with Daffy. And so we have a picture of Morgan with Daffy. That's the end of my story. What I really planned on saying today, I'd like to recognize the ladies of Troop Mitre. You'll notice Sarah's t-shirt. This is a group of ladies, young and old, who are former campers, former counselors, former staff, who have carried on a love affair with Camp Mitre people all their lives. And they have dedicated themselves to ensuring that Daffy's vision of the camp going on forever comes true. They give of themselves their manual labors, their funds, to do all little things around camp. A group of them come every October for a weekend and work, to do things around camp. Some of them come in the spring to help do some spring cleanup. The dedication of the Kiva has been a dream of theirs. Actually, there are two buildings here, or not buildings in particular, that were the result of Daffy's direct labors and intervention in the old Permian Basin Girl Scout Council. One of them, when she was the director here for just 2 years, I think, or 3, she saw the need for a dining hall. And so she was responsible for encouraging the building of the dining hall that we see here today. She also came under fire for having the girls swimming in the pools. And the state was going to shut it down because that was not proper for them to be swimming in that water. Daffy took it upon herself to see that the swimming pool was full, and that it's the swimming pool that's here today. So there are 2 visible remembrances, and I think it's so nice that these ladies have chosen the Kiva to put her name on it and make another visible remembrance of Daffy. One thing, there are some fundraising efforts associated with this. There's a goal of raising approximately $20,000 to update this building. The ladies have started this, and of course we hope that everybody will contribute to it. Another thing that was Daffy's vision was a birthday club. And it was her vision that Girl Scouts, on their birthday, they would become a member of the birthday club, and each year would make a donation per the number of years of their life. So today we have several 7- and 8-year-olds who have joined the birthday club. We have older ladies, some of them in their 60s and 70s.
It's getting expensive.
So,
You can, and somebody asked me, Marnell, well, what if I don't want to donate because then they'll know my age. I said, well, then just donate $100.
right,
Yeah, there you go.
we have some who do that. So, and we send them out a birthday card every year as a reminder that you belong to the birthday club and why you belong to the birthday club. Willow has some flyers somewhere.
Well, I'm just gonna I couldn't find them. They got printed and lost this morning, but I've got a sign-up sheet if you want more information about Troop Mitre that she's talking about, the birthday club. You can put your name, address, stuff, and we'll get you email, and we'll get you connected with all the ways that you can help,
Right.
basically.
We have one event coming up. We have an annual cookout here at the camp. This will be the 8th year that we've had this. This is our major fundraiser as a council directed to providing some extra support for the camp and for programming. This is coming up August 17th. I brought some flyers. Please take one. It has the information about the cookout. It tells you where you can, how you can get reservations. But to just cut this off, I am the fund development manager. I am very happy to take your checks or your credit cards right today, or cash. We do accept cash all the time. All your contributions go to maintaining the camp, or you can designate it to Troop Mitre for the renovation. Thank you.
I think one thing I would add to what Marnell, I appreciate the plug for Troop Mitre because it's made, it's a wonderful thing. I think the best kept secret about about Troop Mitre is how much fun we have. Yeah, we've done all sorts of, you may have noticed this year when you came back that the bridge had been painted. Well, I have paint all over one of my pair of blue jeans to prove that Troop Mitre did that. The hoodies over here, they have new flaps.
And we have Piglet,
Me and Cricket live in them, and then
Bashful
Bashful.
and
Yeah, they're living in newly renovated.
They're very nice.
Yeah, we all sorts of things have been painted. They're hotel rooms. They're very nice. And so I guess, like I said, the best kept secret is probably how much fun we have. And so I don't want it to be a big secret. I want everybody to come out here and enjoy it. It's always an event to come to Mitre Peak. And so please come join us. I think we would.
And those of you that stayed out at Mescalero, that renovated latrine,
That was
a
nice. That's
that
a
was
true
a
nice.
treat.
It's a true nice.
Third weekend in October.
I painted the inside of the bathhouse a few years ago. Badly needed it. It was, yeah.
So we try to help keep the maintenance up because with a property as large as this and getting on in some years, you got to stay on top of, as you guys know, stay on top of that maintenance and things keeping updated.
And never
It won't be used.
say, but I don't know how to do that. Because there's somebody here will show you how and you'll learn a new skill. I've learned all sorts of interesting things I never thought I would know. The picnic benches, I learned how to do that.
Yeah, we did the new wood that's on all the picnic tables Troop Mitre did.
I think
So to make those-
I think it's time to turn this into Daffy's Kids.
Okay.
You want to do the honors? Where's Sandy?
Well, yeah.
Sandy, here you go. Sandy, you want to do the honors? Let's turn this building into Daffy's Kids. Y'all just didn't want anybody else to see your back. That's it, Sandy.
We're
At Camp Mitre, the camp of our dreams, where you are. We are never blue. Be a member of our happy, happy group. You too. And around our campfire, we laugh and we sing. Give a cheer for Camp Mitre, and we'll make the echoes ring. We'll cheer for our campers, our counselors, our team. We'll cheer for you and you and you and you. We do.
All right, so there's cookies and punch. Here's the clipboard, please do. Basically it's a database. We don't send out a bunch of stuff, but we'll hook you up with what's going on when there's weekend events. Or we also raise money to send girls to camp. I don't know how much this year, but last year we had like $3,000 donated to send girls to camp. So this helps keep camp going. So sign up. All right.